guys, it's Naomi with Naomi's Tarot. I am just going to do this video about Scorpio and Pisces in front of my little moon tapestry. Normally when I think of the moon, I think of Cancer, but because I already did Cancer in the thrift store with Aquarius to talk about Cancer's love of home and Aquarius's love of eccentricity, different reasons why they might like a thrift store, I wanted to talk about the other two water signs in front of the moon and the water. So the moon and the water also makes me naturally think of Pisces and Scorpio. All water signs really associated with the moon and the water, the divine feminine. Although I think Scorpio is a more, more of a masculine interpretation of the feminine, if you know what I mean by that. Scorpio is very intense. Prince Charles, for instance, is a Scorpio. Scorpio is always going to be interested in their inner truth above all else, in what it is to them that is true, what it is to them that they feel beyond a shadow of a doubt, beyond what anybody else tells them is the truth of their life. And if they haven't found it, they will go on a quest for it to the end. Charles, if you guys haven't known, is actually an avid painter. He's a spiritual philosopher. He's interested in Sufism, which is mystical Islam. He is a writer, and he's very into the environment. He's kind of got a little bit of a hippie vibe going on there. And some Scorpios can in their own intense way. Not like a hippie like the Out in the Clouds Aquarius or, like go with the flow Pisces, but in their own intense way, in their own obsessive way, they're a hippie. So I would say they are an interest, but not with being laid back necessarily, because I would not say Scorpio is laid back. Scorpio is all about intensity, intensity, intensity. So what does this say about the kind of reign Charles will have? Charles is going to have an intense reign when he finally is king. He's going to be somebody who's going to buck some of the norms that we've had, some of the traditions that we had of the Taurus Queen Elizabeth. He's going to be somebody who wants to follow his heart more than his head, but will have a measured response from his head as well. If he was a Pisces, I would say he'd just go with his heart. But because he's a Scorpio, he has that masculine undercurrent to a feminine sign, because I think Scorpio is one of those signs of both yin and yang. He's going to have that balance, whereas if he was like a Pisces, king, probably not. Now, Pisces, I don't think there's an example in the royal family that I can think of or celebrity off the top of my head. But just in general, Pisces is very go with the flow. They're like the hippie of the zodiac besides Aquarius. But they're like a hippie in a different way. Aquarius is like a philosopher hippie. Pisces is like a hippie, like they're just like peace and love to everybody. And they can, don't get me wrong, Pisces women can be bitchy. But the thing is that overall, they have to be pushed to get that way, to get manipulative. Generally, they're going to be this mothery, caring, doting, open-minded, like absorption of all the signs. That's why they're so open-minded. They are literally an absorption of all of the signs. So what they are is like a culmination of every philosophy that the sign has. That's why they seem like this old soul hippie type, kind of like when I think of a male Pisces, I think of like an old man with long white hair, long beard, and he's wearing like robes. And for a female, I think of like long wavy hair, like long roby types of flowing dresses, and she's just got like birds, on her, on her fingers, and she's singing to them. Kind of like if you think of the Nine of Pentacles in the tarot deck. I know that's more of a Virgo card, but actually the way she looks in it reminds me of a female Pisces. Or the High Priestess could be too, but I think of that more as like a female Cancer, the High Priestess in the tarot deck. So we have that energy with the two. So the Pisces are more like that hippie vibe, like they want to nurture and they're open to fostering other people's ideas and supporting them. They're more of a supportive sign than they are an outgoing, like leading sign. Scorpio is actually a leader in their own way because they're very passionate about what it is they view, and they will see it to the end, even if that view happens to be a little bit out of the norm or eccentric. So I think we're going to see some changes, definitely changes in the monarchy brought about by Charles that have to do with spirituality and have to do with fostering the arts and taking care of maybe things that were traditionally thought of as the more feminine aspects and topics to pay attention to. And I don't mean feminine like women, I mean feminine like the arts, music, environment, all of those good things, like the spiritual hippie things that he's into. And I think it's easy for us to blame him for what happened to Diana, but remember, she did have tendencies that were very like, I don't want to say, because this is not a channel in any way associated with mental health, and I'm not going to make it that, because it's not associated with tarot, and it shouldn't be. You need to do that kind of thing separately. However, she was somebody who was unstable. She was a very loving, caring person in the world, but mentally, to deal with her behind closed doors, it's been quoted numerous and numerous times that allegedly she was highly unstable. Now, Charles is not some innocent angel. He went ahead and married her when he loved Camilla. But we have to understand how he was bullied into it by his Aquarius father, Prince Philip, or his Gemini father, Prince Philip. You know, somebody who is very like cut off emotionally, air sign energy, staunch, you do what is duty, you do what you're told to do, type of person who was like that to him his whole life. And in addition to that, his mother, who wouldn't allow him to marry Camilla. So you have to see it that way and understand there's more sides to Charles than just this monster that everybody wants to see him as. There's underneath all of that, believe it or not, there's an intense, sensitive, spiritual, artistically inclined man. So that's a little bit about Scorpio and a little bit about Pisces for the channel. I hope you liked this, guys. Bye-bye. All right, guys, come take a little tour with me to a nearby thrift store. Hey guys, it's Naomi. I'm at Life Boutique Thrift on 5th Avenue in Park Slope, Brooklyn. And I just came in here because, one, I really liked the place, and two, it made me think about two signs. It made me think about Cancer and Aquarius. And the reason for that, it could be your sun or moon. If you're a woman, if you're a guy, it would be your sun sign. The reason for that is because when I think of Aquarius, first, I think of somebody who's a little, you know, on the eccentric side, who's creative, who likes to mix and match modern and pass things together. Somebody who's definitely like open-minded, out there, creative, artistic. Might be any of those things or none of those things or one of those things. And then the reason why I thought about Cancer is because Cancers are very much about nostalgia. So if you think of like a thrift store like the one I'm in now, like that has everything. It has, you know, clothes, shoes, bags, jewelry, you know, dishware, anything you can think of at a thrift store. You think of nostalgia in a way. Cancers are very much about thinking about the past, returning to the past, sentiment. Think of a famous Cancer, Princess Diana, also has an Aquarius moon, like Marilyn Monroe. So those types of people are going to be creative, broad-minded, eccentric, and kind of out there, and because they had that in their moon as Aquarius, which is those qualities. But then Diana, for instance, Marilyn was a Gemini, but Diana had the Cancer sun. So we're talking about somebody who also likes nostalgia and sentiment. So when I think of that, I think of like, you know, a thrift store like this, or something like remembering something with a memento of the past, archetypally. That's what I think of. So that's just some information about Aquarius and Cancer for the channel. These are people who, especially Cancers, are very, very deeply emotional and sentimental. Aquarius, on the other hand, they're not so much into the mushy type like emotions unless they have water energy or some, you know, receptive earth energy in their chart. But they are still somebody who appreciates nostalgia in the past, and the reason is because of the creativity and the eclectic nature of that sign. Whereas Cancer, it's more about the sentiment, the feelings that it stirs up. So they might not wear vintage clothes, but they might collect things like vintage dishware or mementos from family members, or go to thrift stores for the feeling it gave them. So that's just a little bit of a connection with that, and I hope you're enjoying my royal family celebrity connection through the signs. If you'd like to book a reading, send me a message at naomitarot1199@gmail.com. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.